Firstly, a warning, this is going to be quite a long video, I think, and touching very much into the soft sit arena. Obviously, if you're bored with Chile and soft sits, don't watch this. I have speeded up parts to get through it, and we'll watch the introduction speeded up.
All right, folks, welcome to Nino'sCorner.tv. I am joined with Chili DeCastro, Delete Laws, and Paul Unslaved. They both have fabulous channels on YouTube. And really, I want to call this episode or this segment Constitution for Dummies. Because for people like me, I need to understand this at a basic level because what you guys are doing is phenomenal. Both you guys are walking the walk, so to speak, and you're teaching people about law and order, real law and order, and our rights. And people need to know their rights. Not enough people know their rights, including me.
The next bit he advertises a magazine, and we don't need to watch that.
I'm excited about this because I want to learn something today. I want to learn. I watched both your videos, and Chili, I don't agree with you on everything, but there's some common ground, and I like that you put people on blast. And Paul, I gotta say, dude, you're driving around without a license and a license plate, and you're getting away with it.
Well, Chili seems very happy with the compliment.
I want to know. No, stop it! I'm stopping you right there. I'm stopping you right there, Dave. I'm not driving around anywhere. I'm traveling. I'm moving property. Driving is a commercial term. This is a common misunderstanding. You talk about fighting the culture war. How do we fight the culture war if we don't get to the root word, which is cult?
Soft sit right off the bat with Paul and word definitions.
Right, culture. So you got a bunch of folks running around who hold beliefs that are not in line with reality, definition, meaning, purpose, words, and terms. So let's start there, man. Let's get into it. Well, let's start with explain corporation of government to me, and that it's not operating under the actual Constitution the way our founding fathers envisioned, right? So you want to go into that first?
No, I pose a question to all US citizens who view this, and it's where I have a problem with Chile and him going back to a point prior to the passing of the Constitution of the United States and over time the amendments thereto. Did the great men of the 1700s think that their views should be dictated to citizens of the United States time immemorial, or do you think they passed a constitution that was able to change and be amended over time? I think the latter is correct. Surely only a despot king would think that his views should last time immemorial.
Sure, so there's a federal corporation on the United States Code we call United States, right? They'll say it's sovereign citizen, conspiracy theory, mumbo jumbo. No, it's right there. United States Code. Go look it up. Cornell University. The A example is a federal corporation. So again, Title 53, I believe, converts essentially all government into corporations. So the definitions and words and terms are all there. United States is a federal corporation. A citizen, someone who owes allegiance to that corporation.
Okay, I'm not going to dissect all the soft sit mumbo jumbo. And I do understand that you do have a Pledge of Allegiance. However, as far as I'm aware, it is not compulsory to pledge your allegiance. And even if I say the words without meaning them, if I were a citizen of the United States, would my citizenship be removed if I did not pledge allegiance? I don't think so.
Now, again, originally there was the land. Like I told you before, there's 2 states in each state. We're on each state. There's a state of California and California state. One is the land, one is the corporate body. That's why there's 2 senators.
No, I have searched the US Constitution to see why there are 2 senators, and I don't think it's because you have one for the land mass and one for the corporate body. If I missed it, please let me know.
For each state. This is my understanding, right? And when I lay out my understanding, it tends to make more sense than the understanding they've given us. So the Declaration of Independence outlines that statute, policy, and code, and I'm kind of paraphrasing here, but you can go back to Cornell University. The principle of consent of the governed means each and every single man and woman has to consent to policy and code governing them, or else the power transfers back to God's law, right? Universal law, common law, and that is codified in the contract we know as the Constitution.
Okay, so why did we go back before the Constitution? What went before the current US Constitution, as amended, only has relevance in so much as if the Supreme Court chooses to be guided by those views when making decisions, and they don't have to be.
So essentially, there's dual jurisdictions in this land right now, or on this land. There's corporate jurisdiction, policy and code regulation, and then there's a common law, what was once common law, right? It's no longer really common anymore. What was once the common law was universal law codified in the contract we know as the Constitution, which was all men and women are created equal. All men and women have a right to pretty much do whatever they please to pursue their happiness as long as they don't infringe upon their fellow man.
No, I don't think any of that is in the US Constitution. I think the only amendment that relates to equal protection relating to citizens is the 14th Amendment. I think the only reference to common law is within the 7th Amendment. I don't believe that there's any concept of universal law in the Constitution. And I did search for the word infringe, but I couldn't see it.
And a woman. But through different amendments and rewriting the foundational law, right, the foundational contract, the Constitution, they added in amendments and basically created that corporate capacity, right, the idea of public safety.
Again, I don't see anything relating to public safety within the Constitution or its amendments.
So you're a part of a body politic, what the politicians call the unspoken social contract, and you're regulated for yourself and others for the whole. It's called a demosocracy. Demos in Latin means mob, ocracy means rule.
And here we start with the Latin word interpretations.
So this is why you have, and I don't mean to ramble here, but this starts in the public school. They teach you the republic is a democracy. They teach you to vote for corporate leadership, a president, a vice president, a treasurer. These are all corporate positions. So they've conflated with the government and law of the land with the corporate capacity, the corporate body known as the United States, who we've all identified as allegiance with. And that's how we get governed by policy and code, right, is by our status and standing.
Word salad again. The adoption of the Constitution and its amendments is how it is. What went before were philosophical arguments of how it should be, not how it was to be.
How we present, they stop you on the side of the road, you will identify. Identify means to take on an identity other than your original identity, right? So I could go on and on and on because there's so much to this. If you want to call it a fraud, a misunderstanding, a lack of accurate record keeping.
Of course we had to get there, your birth name. Show me a country in the world that doesn't register people by their birth name. It's not a conspiracy by big government, just a means to record that country's citizens.
So it comes down to the consent of the person. Let's say you get pulled over by a cop. When you agree to their terms, you are now going under their rule of law, correct? Is that how you explain it?
Of course, the constitutional law scholar should jump in with a no here. However, if we've got alpha male on the left, beta male on the right, I think we've got omega male on the bottom.
It comes out of the Department of Revenue Service. Again, these are all Title 53 corporations. They have principles. None of this is the executive branch of what we would call the United States government. These are all corporate bodies, right? So you go down to the DMV, you fill out the records incorrectly, you put a first and last name there, they ask you for a person, they ask you what your status and standing is, you tell them I'm an all caps United States citizen, part of the body politic, part of the corporation, I can be regulated by policy and code, you register your private property under UCC, Uniform Commercial Code, is deemed a household good, it's private property, you register it, the root word is king.
More word salad. I think these guys learn things by rote and just spew them out. A bit like a doll with a string, you just need to pull it.
So you've turned private property into state property, to corporate property, and that's how, again, they can regulate it, because a motor vehicle under federal code is a commercial instrument. It is not something that moves around with a motor in it. There's an automobile, ruled on in Supreme Court, then there's a motor vehicle. Again, one is private property, free to travel, unregulated, right, by the law of the land, God's law. The other one is self-identified, what we would call title. Only king grants title. Man and woman in this realm originally is king. So you granted a title to that automobile, you called it a motor vehicle, it's now become a commercial instrument in a legal society, now they can regulate it. So when they pull you over, what's the first thing they ask you for? We want your status and standing, we want proof of the contract, license, registration, insurance.
I see Chili busily typing this all down. Of course it's all bullcrap, bullcrap, bullcrap.
Now once they get that, they got jurisdiction. Jurisdiction in Latin means to say the law. If they put forth a bunch of words, you accept the words and what they mean.
There goes Chili's index finger, he's got to remember that one.
Or you ignore the law, right? Ignorance of the law is no excuse. Then they bring you into court and they drag you around the room under policy, code, and regulation because you don't understand who and what you are, and you don't understand how to keep accurate records or how to present yourself as a man or woman of the people. You are a corporate citizen.
Must be more than weed he's smoking.
And you enter as a corporate citizen, I guess, at birth with a birth certificate, right? I mean, when part of the process. That's part of the process. That's a process, right? But again, these things are not necessarily inherently evil. A lot of this stuff was created to you could argue they crashed the money system, did away with lawful money, brought in legal tender, and then essentially made us all able to be regulated. If you look on the side of the road, Valdez was asking me about what I do for a living and do I pay taxes and use legal tender. It's because they want you using instruments of their legal society so that they can claim that you are essentially on the clock full time, right? You're a member of the legal society, therefore legal code applies to you, and we could do legal process on you. So.
Because I speeded it up, it's hard for me to tell how far we're into this, but say about 13 minutes. Omega male hasn't said a word. And surely beta male should be pressing the point as to how does this work? How do you escape the jurisdiction of the court?
So,
the
person. Go ahead.
I have a question, Paul. So, now, I believe what you're saying is that you are a free individual person, human being of this earth. You do not subjugate yourself to the jurisdiction of the state government that's trying to be a corporation and have you be a slave to that corporation. Is that correct so far?
I would have thought, as a constitutional law scholar, you would know the answer and not need to ask the question.
Sure, but again, we have to watch the words and terms. Under U.S. code, there's two types of person. There's a natural person and then there's a legal person.
I can see reference to natural or naturalisation in the US Constitution and its amendment, and I think it refers to whether you were naturally born in the United States or you emigrated to the United States and became naturalised through a process. There is no reference to the legal person.
Which is a corporate entity. So when you're summoned to appear in court as the person, that's all dead language, right? They're summoning a corporation, a dead entity. It's in all caps. All caps is capitis diminutio maxima. It's the maximum diminishment of your capacity. It's your person. It's not you, right? It's the legal entity that was created at birth that they gave you to do legal business. You're identifying as the person rather than saying, I have a person. It's the same way you have a citizenship, you are not a citizen, right?
Did you spot Chile nodding to all that word salad?
So then, now you're talking about the Organic Act of 1870, that where we became a corporate America, is that correct?
There's different things that people point to. I'm not specifically pointing to one event or one bill or one act. I'm laying out the imagery with the words and terms, meaning and definition of the highest code, if you want to call it that, the superior code, which is still part of the corporation, but again is put there to regulate these folks because the highest up since the beginning knew what these folks were going to do. They were going to do fraud and barrage.
Again, he goes back to something before, which is wrong.
But the bar runs this whole country. It's a British accredited registry. Those are the same folks we fought a revolution against. Did we really win? Or did they come back with a corporate takeover, fund all the public schools, get everybody under jurisdiction with central banking, and now run all of our lives with policy and code because they've subverted the republic, right? These, again, like the founder said, 250 years, we're right on time. You will be taken down from traitors within. So every one of these lawyers, every one of these politicians, every one of these folks who grew up on this land has overthrown the law of the land for a British parliamentary process we call demosocracy, which is collectivism.
I thought the bar related to a physical thing, a bar, a barrier in a courtroom. And of course the US Constitution is not the British parliamentary system. It is a republican system, probably based on a French system of the time.
Let me ask you a question. How do you get around? So my particular study is the Supreme Court jurisprudence stare decisis. So I listened to your interview on Brian's High Impact Flex. Great interview, Paul. And so then what I'm trying to get around, and this is the reason why I called David and said, hey, did you see Paul on this channel? And David looked you up right away and called me back. Let's bring him in. I want to talk to him. And so what I'm trying to figure out, though, is I listened to your whole interview on Brian's channel. I'm trying to figure out how to get around the 1915 case of Hendrick versus Maryland. And I'm just got the holding up in front of me, and it says a state motor vehicle law imposing reasonable license fees on motors, including those of non-residents, does not interfere with the rights of the citizens of the United States to pass through the state. Crandall versus Nevada.
Good question, Chile. Apart from the fact it doesn't need to be asked because it's already been answered. It's quite clear that freely travel does not relate to the mode of travel. It is the right that you have that you can travel from state to state, i.e. your body has a right to travel from state A to state B. In the similar way that I have a right to travel from England to Wales, however, I don't have the right to freely travel to Russia. Okay, I think I'm going to split this video into parts, and we'll end there for part 1. If you'd like me to continue with this, please let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching.